As important as the vacuum cleaner was to the housewife, and as important as the typewriter was to the secretary, the moviola was equally important to the editor.
Editing is I use the Carol Reese definition, is the selection, timing, and arrangement of certain scenes into a filmic continuity.
An editor is somebody who puts together pieces of film with the idea of telling a story in the best way possible, keeping an audience's attention, and an editor is a storyteller.
Oh, I heard somebody say that editing is taking out the bad parts and keeping in the good parts.
Fair enough.
Okay.
A Dutch-born electrical engineer, Iwan Surya came to the United States at the turn of the century, intrigued by the technical advances taking place here. He settled with his wife in Pasadena, where he made a hefty profit in the real estate boom, and later went to work for the Southern Pacific Railroad as a draftsman. He was bored and wanted to do something more creative with his engineering background, though, and he got the film bug. Around 1917, Iwan got the idea that a home movie projector, enclosed in a beautiful wooden cabinet like a Victrola, would be welcomed by the public. He thought studio executives in particular would find it useful for viewing film in the comfort of their own offices. He built a rough model, received a patent, and asked his 5 children to submit names for the new machine. Of the 20 or more names suggested over dinner one night, Moviola seemed the best. It was a takeoff on Victrola. In 1923, Iwan manufactured about 15 of these machines. The idea was good, but it was a tough sell. The exorbitant price tag was the main flaw, costing $600 in 1920, equivalent to $20,000 today. Iwan made the rounds of the movie studios, but had little success. During 1923, he sold only 3 machines. Finally, he met an editor at Douglas Fairbanks Studios who showed him how movies were being edited at the time. Pieces of film were studied over a light well, spliced, and then run in the projection room. Had to be repeated several times until the cut was acceptable. It's said that some cutters could even move the film intimately by hand over the light box so they could see motion. The editor at Fairbanks thought the Moviola might be useful for editing if it could be modified for use on the editing table. No problem. Over the weekend, Ian roughed it together, an editing machine. It was a crude mechanism designed purely to determine whether it was something editors could use. The editors at Fairbanks loved it. In 1924, Iwan sold his first editing machine to Douglas Fairbanks Studios for $125, approximately $4,500 today. When you stripped the machine of its gorgeous wood cabinetry, the cost came down quite a bit. Overnight, the editing community embraced the Moviola. Early customers included Universal Studios, Warner Brothers, Charlie Chaplin Studios, Max Sennett, MGM, etc. The first dozen machines were made from mechanisms on hand. When demand continued, Iwan designed the Moviola Midget, powered by a sewing machine motor. From a small apartment on Gordon Street in Hollywood, business grew steadily. He designed new and improved the earlier ones, built sound heads for optical sound, magnetic heads for magnetic sound, viewers for 16mm, 35mm, and early 65 and 70mm projectors. In 1945, Ian's son, Mark, a graduate of Caltech himself, and who previously directed the design of the dome and structural parts of the 200-inch Palomar telescope, inherited the Moviola company. At this time, he upgraded and redesigned the machine to be even more effective and friendly to the editors. It was essentially the same machine, with the most visible change being its new green color. By 1949, Moviola had become a household word, so commonplace that Webster called them for the dictionary meaning so they could put it in the